Hi, Emmy. This time we're going to do one of the boys' favorite stories, which is Goodnight, Gorilla. It doesn't actually have any words in it, but we can do the pictures. Goodnight, Gorilla. That's Zookeeper Joe. We know his name's Joe because that name is on his shirt. But the gorilla steals his keys. And then the gorilla sneaks out and walks after Zookeeper Joe. Also, if you pay attention, there's a little mouse with a banana that follows him around. We like to pay attention to him. Good night, elephant. And the gorilla sees the elephant in the cage and he has a thought. So he lets the elephant out. Good night, lion. And we try not to notice what the lion has in his cage that he's been eating. And good night, giraffe. Good night, hyena. And if you're paying attention, you can still see the mouse with the banana. Good night, armadillo. And now we've got a whole bunch of animals following the zookeeper around, but he hasn't noticed. And he walks across the park over to his house, and all the animals follow behind with Gorilla in the lead. And they follow him right into his house. And then they follow him right into his bedroom and settle down to sleep. And his wife says, "Good night, dear." And she turns off the light, and then all the animals say, "Good night, good 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 night." So her eyes open up. What the heck was that? And she turns the light back on and sees she's got a whole bedroom full of sleeping animals. So she gets up and she walks them all the way back to the zoo. "Good night, zoo," she says, and she heads back home, but she doesn't realize that the gorilla and the mouse and the banana are still following her. She gets back to the house, gets into bed. "Good night, dear. Good night, dear." "Good night, gorilla." And the gorilla snores. And the real important climax of the story, the gorilla finally ate the banana. Now, if you want to go back through the book, if you have a copy of this, or if you just want to stop this and look at the pictures, we also pay attention to the balloon, because you can see the balloon in all of the pictures starting to float away further and further and further. It's up there. And it goes off into the distance. But if you look really carefully, in every picture you can see it, until finally when we get to the end, it's way off there, teeny tiny, by the moon. So that's Goodnight, Gorilla, which we are happy to share with you because it is one of our favorites. And I'll see you again next week.